All right, so today we're diving into something that I think a lot of people can relate to,
Hmm.
especially if you're, traveling or living in an English-speaking country. It's all about ordering food at a restaurant.
Yeah, that's a great topic. And, even if you're not in an English-speaking country, I think this can be really useful for anyone learning English,
Hmm.
just to kind of get those basic phrases down.
Exactly. It's like one of those essential life skills, right?
Oh, for sure.
And for this deep dive, we're going to be looking at a podcast script that's actually designed to teach beginners how to order food.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So we can kind of break it down, see what it suggests, and maybe even, offer some of our own insights and tips along the way.
Absolutely. I'm curious to see what they highlight.
Me too. All right, so let's start with the very beginning, right? You walk into a restaurant, you sit down, you get the menu. But what happens if it's like super confusing or you're not sure what some of the dishes are?
Yeah, that can definitely happen. Especially, if it's a cuisine you're not familiar with or if there's a lot of like jargon or, fancy descriptions.
Exactly. So what does this script recommend for those moments when you need a little help deciphering the menu?
Well, it actually starts with a very simple phrase.
Yeah.
Um, can you help me understand the menu, please?
Okay, I like that. Straightforward and polite.
Yeah, and that's something that the script emphasizes throughout, like the importance of being polite, even when you're just asking for basic
All right,
things.
it's all about those pleases and thank yous.
Exactly. It just makes the whole interaction smoother and more pleasant for everyone involved.
I totally agree. And I like how that phrase, can you help me understand? It's kind of a base you can build on, right? Like you could adapt it to different situations.
Oh, absolutely. You could say, can you tell me more about this dish, please? Or can you explain the specials, please?
Exactly. So you're already starting to feel more comfortable navigating the menu. You're ready to order.
All right, the moment of truth. So for this, the script suggests using the phrase I'd like, followed by whatever you want to order.
Okay, that's pretty simple and direct.
Yeah, it's a very versatile phrase. So you could say, I'd like the pasta carbonara, please, or I'd like a glass of red wine, please.
I can see how that would be helpful for beginners. It's like a formula you can just plug in any dish or drink.
Exactly. And it also keeps things nice and concise, which is good, especially if you're a little nervous about speaking in English.
Because you got your main dish, your drink. What about if you want to ask about like extras or sides or make some special requests?
Yeah, the script has got you covered there too.
Yeah.
They suggest using phrases like, can I have some extra bread with my meal, please? Or could I get the dressing on the side, please?
Ah, so still keeping it polite, but also getting your point across.
Exactly. And being specific about what you want.
Okay, so we've ordered, we've got our food, we're enjoying our meal. What about when it comes time for the check?
Ah, yes. This is where things get a little bit tricky because remember, there's that little difference between American and British English.
Oh, right, the whole check versus bill thing.
Exactly. So in the US, you would ask for the check, and in the UK, you would ask for the bill.
So the script gives both options right.
Yes, it does.
Mm.
It suggests saying either, could I have the check, please?
Mm.
Or could I have the bill, please? Depending on where you are.
I love those little cultural tidbits. It's good to be aware of those differences.
Absolutely. And it's a reminder that even when you're learning these practical phrases, there's always a deeper layer of cultural context to consider.
Okay, but what about those situations where things get a little bit more complicated? Like, say you have allergies or special dietary needs. How does the script handle that?
That's a really good question because, yeah, that could be tricky sometimes, especially when you're, in a new place and maybe not so familiar with the language.
Right, exactly. So what kind of guidance does the script offer for navigating those situations?
Well, it really emphasizes the importance of being upfront and specific about your needs. Don't be shy about it.
Okay, so how would you actually phrase that?
The script suggests using phrases like, I'm allergic to, or I don't eat, followed by the specific ingredient or food group you're trying to avoid.
So like, I'm allergic to peanuts or I don't eat shellfish.
Exactly. Short, simple, to the point.
I like it. What about if you're not allergic, but you just want to know more about what's in a dish or if you have certain preferences?
Oh, yeah, for sure. The script encourages you to be an inquisitive diner. They suggest phrases like, what does this dish have in it? Or even just a casual, what's in this?
Okay, so it's all about gathering information and making sure you're ordering something that you'll actually enjoy.
Exactly. And it's okay to ask questions. I mean, most servers are happy to help you figure things out.
I've definitely been in situations where I wasn't sure about something on the menu, especially when traveling, and it's so helpful to have those go-to phrases.
It definitely takes the stress out of ordering. Now, let's say you want to make some modifications to a dish.
Oh, like asking for the sauce on the side or holding the onions.
Precisely. The script has a nice simple phrase for that too. Could I have it without, and then you just fill in the blank.
So could I have the burger without cheese, please?
Perfect. Or could I have the salad without dressing, please? You know, whatever it is you'd like to modify.
I'm really noticing a pattern here with all these phrases. They're all very polite and respectful.
Right. And I think that's something that's really important to emphasize, especially for language learners. It's not just about the words themselves, but also the tone and the way you deliver them.
I agree. Being polite goes a long way in any culture.
Speaking of cultural nuances, remember how we talked about the difference between check and bill?
Oh, yeah.
Well, there's another interesting difference when it comes to expressing appreciation for the food.
Oh, tell me more. I love this kind of stuff.
So in some cultures, it's very common to directly compliment the chef on their cooking.
Like you would actually go into the kitchen and tell them.
Well, not necessarily go into the kitchen, but you might say something to your server like, "This is delicious." Compliments to the chef.
Oh, I love that. It's such a nice way to acknowledge their hard work.
Exactly. And it shows that you're really enjoying the food. You could also say something like, "The food is amazing," keep it simple and genuine.
I feel like food is such a universal language, and being able to express your enjoyment of it, even in a different language, it just creates a really nice connection.
It does, and it goes beyond just the food itself. The script also encourages expressing gratitude for the service. A simple "thank you for the wonderful service" at the end of your meal can go a long way.
Right, it's all about those little gestures of appreciation.
Now, what about if you need something during your meal, like a drink refill?
Ah, yes, that classic scenario.
If the script keeps it super easy, you could simply say, "Could I get a refill, please?" Or, "Could I have another glass of water, please?"
Straightforward and polite.
Exactly. And it works for any beverage, whether it's coffee, tea, soda, whatever you're drinking.
Okay, and what about if you're in a bit of a hurry? Like, you need to grab your food and go.
Yeah, that happens sometimes. The script suggests politely inquiring about the wait time. You can say something like, "Excuse me, how long will it take for the food to be ready?"
Oh, that's smart. Or what if you're really pressed for time? Could you say something like, could we get our food quickly? We're in a bit of a hurry.
Absolutely. Again, just being direct,
Yeah.
but also polite. It's about finding that balance.
Because no one wants to come across as rude, right?
Definitely not.
Yeah.
But it's okay to be assertive and let the staff know if you have any time constraints.
All right, so we've covered a lot of different scenarios, but even with the best planning and communication, sometimes things just don't go perfectly in a restaurant.
Oh yeah, those oops moments can happen to anyone.
Like maybe there's a mistake with your order or something's not quite right with your food. It can be a little awkward to navigate, especially in a foreign language.
Yeah, it can be a little awkward, but even when things go wrong, it's important to remember that clear and respectful communication is key.
So how does this script suggest we handle those situations? Like, how do we address those oops moments without, causing a scene?
Well, it starts by acknowledging the issue in a calm and, non-confrontational way.
Okay, so no, like, yelling or pointing fingers.
Definitely not. The script recommends using a phrase like, "Excuse me, but there seems to be a mistake with my order."
I like that. It's polite, but also gets the point across.
Right, and then you can follow up with a specific explanation of the problem.
Like, I ordered the chicken, but I received the fish.
Exactly, or "This isn't what I ordered," whatever the issue is.
So you've clearly stated the problem. What's the next step?
Well, then you can politely request a resolution.
Okay, so like if your food is cold, you could say, could you please heat this up a bit?
Perfect. Or if there's an item missing, you could say, "Could you please bring me the missing side dish?"
I like how these phrases are still very polite, even when you're pointing out a problem.
Right. It's all about maintaining that respectful tone. It's about advocating for yourself as a diner, but also respecting the staff and the establishment.
And hopefully most of the time, a polite and clear explanation will lead to a quick resolution.
Exactly. Now, we've talked a lot about specific phrases and situations, but I think one of the biggest takeaways from this deep dive is the overall importance of communication.
Yeah, I agree. It's not just about memorizing words. It's about understanding how to use language effectively to express your needs and navigate different cultural contexts.
And that's something that goes way beyond just ordering food in a restaurant.
It's a skill you can use in all aspects of your life, right?
Yeah.
Whether you're traveling, working, or just interacting with people from different cultures.
Absolutely. So if you're listening and you're thinking, okay, this is all great, but I'm still a little nervous about actually using these phrases in real life,
What advice would you give?
I would say practice, practice, practice. The more you use the language, the more confident you'll become.
And don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everyone makes mistakes. It's part of the learning process. And often those mistakes can lead to some pretty funny stories.
Oh, I've definitely had my fair share of language mishaps while traveling, but you know what? Those are usually the moments that I remember the most.
They are. They're the ones that make the best stories later on.
So embrace those moments, have fun with the language, and just keep practicing.
And remember, the goal is not to be perfect. It's to communicate effectively and enjoy the experience.
Well said. And on that note, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. We've explored some essential phrases for ordering food in English, and we've also touched on some broader themes of communication, cultural awareness, and the importance of embracing those oops moments.
It's been a great deep dive.
I hope you feel inspired to step into any restaurant, confidently order your meal, and savor every delicious bite.
Bon appétit.